Hello, my beautiful light beings. Welcome to season 3 of the Magic Exists podcast, where you are moving from the 3D living to 5-dimensional being. This is a space where you learn to be the magical embodiment of the energy that you are, the magical human that you are. And so this season, we're going to be talking about women who are choosing to be authentic and bold and maybe making decisions that are not in the norm and really using their intuition to trust their steps and the decisions they're making in their life to really live a life of magic and purpose and fulfillment. So today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Taylor Elyse. I actually rent a room from her out here at Evnia in Redondo Beach. And so I'm so grateful and honored to have you here. A little bit about Taylor. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist, clinical supervisor, and co owner of Evnia Wellness Studio with nearly a decade of clinical experience. She specializes in somatic therapy, EMDR, and nervous system work to support deep, lasting transformation. She works with clients navigating anxiety, trauma, attachment wounds, self worth, and emotional overwhelm, often after years of traditional therapy that helped them understand their patterns but didn't fully shift them. This is so big. I love this because this is all about embodiment here, the missing piece. Your life doesn't change unless you actually embody the affirmation. Okay, anyways, quick tangent. Through somatic work and intuitive attunement, Taylor helps clients move beyond insight to work directly with the nervous system and emotional body, creating real change at the root. I love it. Welcome, Taylor.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a big root cause for everything, whether it's emotional, physical, like what I like to get to the root.
I love it so much. Okay. So just tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your story? Where'd you start? And how did you end up where you are now here as a co-owner of Evnia Wellness and are able to have so many beautiful therapists, psychotherapists under you, as well as other practitioners working in your space?
hmm So, not that long of a journey because I feel like I kind of always had a direction I was going, but it was like, do I go this way to get there? Do I go this way to get there? I've had anxiety from a young age. So anxiety was a big part of my story, my healing journey, along with tension headaches because I'm very clairsentience. My body is holding a lot. And so I was introduced to a lot of holistic healers, energy healers, psychics, things like this, therapists from a younger age than most, like middle school, high school. And I found most of my healing through alternative ways, like an Ayurvedic doctor or having a session with a medium. And so I became really fascinated with yoga, meditation, all of that. And at first, I didn't realize I could make that a job. It was just something that I thought was interesting and I found was really helping me. And then my my family is traditional and you go to college and you get a job, but my mom was always very spiritual too. So the time came to go to college. I did not want to go to college at all, but it felt like this is what I have to do. This is what everyone does. And I started taking psychology classes and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I can learn about me. Like it was really actually to help heal myself. And so I felt like I got to learn so much about me through my learning of psychology. And that's kind of what kept me in school, even though I was not a school person. And then after your undergrad, you have to get your master's. And so I had finished to be a therapist. So I had finished my bachelor's in psychology. And I'm like, okay, well, now what? Like that was cool. But again, where do I go from here? And I felt pretty lost until I started therapy at that point. And I was like, oh, okay, like traditional therapy. This is kind of cool. It wasn't quite what I wanted, but I wasn't ready to just go be a healer because that felt almost too ungrounding for me at that point. I needed to continue with some structure. So I found a psych program in California. I moved here from Michigan. So I graduated from Michigan State and 2 days later came to California and found roommates and an apartment and a grad school here. And that's when I started my master's program. Throughout pretty much my whole master's program, I still was feeling like, okay, there's the spiritual world and the psychology world. And they felt opposing, actually. Even though I was in a spiritual in depth specialization, it was very depth oriented. So there was a lot of shadow work. And at this time, I'm 22, like love and light only, like what are you talking about shadow work, like, very into just like why do we even need to go there kind of thing. um I then got rocked with like such a dark night of the soul and like realizing like, oh, okay, there's actually a lot of use to this. And that's when I started to have a little bit more respect for psychology, trauma work, and kind of looking at um like the darker side of our psyche. Um, I had a really amazing mentor once I graduated from grad school who was a therapist and I was in his practice. And he was so intuitive, so spiritual, but also an amazing therapist. And he helped me realize like, you can blend these. Like you can actually be a therapist and go do whatever you want, whether it's art therapy, ocean therapy, somatic therapy. Um, so then I realized like, okay, I can keep the structure of this, which for someone who leans anxious, that was very like soothing for my nervous system, and bring in all of these other more expansive tools.
I love that so much. Okay, I have a couple questions. I love how you went on this kind of more traditional route, but you always knew there was this like tie to spirituality. And I think the system you had, how you described it so well, that like this was very grounding for you to explore within this like structured space. And then after you felt like you've kind of mastered that space, you can kind of
Mhm.
move and pivot. And I think that's a big missing piece in entrepreneurship because oftentimes people don't have that trust or discernment of like maybe even who to mentor under or who to learn from because like being a coach, I was in this year program and then it's like, okay, bye. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I can do like dance the coaching. I can do like what you said, art coaching. Yes, like you can do all of it. But if you don't have it replicated in front of you, like it's very challenging to use that discernment and that trust. So I love so much how you put it. And so I'm curious, how old are you right now?
32.
Okay. Um, okay, cool. So like you went through the grad school and is that psychotherapy already that you did? Or what's the difference between like, I guess, therapy and psychotherapy?
Psychotherapy is therapy that I'm talking about, so it's talk therapy based. Versus sometimes if you say I'm a therapist, they're like, oh, a physical therapist, a massage therapist. So psychotherapy is what people think of when they think of talk therapy. So when you start your master's program the first year in, you actually already start seeing clients, which is kind of wild because you don't know anything. And they're just like, they put you in real, like it's real therapy. These people are paying customers like think like they don't really, and the clients don't actually really know. I mean the paperwork says, but like it's not really explicit of like, by the way, this is the
That's
first
wild.
ever done. So that was when I first started seeing clients. So that was 9 years ago that I had my first client. And then obviously, you then graduate, and then I went to private practice, and then I had my own practice, and it evolves from there.
Okay, awesome. And so how were you able to like use your intuition to kind of build out like what you have now at Evnia? And so I know you have kind of two businesses, right? You have like Taylor Elise and then you have this like co-creation studio at Evnia where I'm able to go and participate.
hmm So the intuition played a big part, even with the psychology journey, because there were so many times that I'm like, again, is this for me? Like, I don't know, why am I here? And I was always redirected back to where I need to be. Even I remember, so I graduated my master's program, and you then have to do 3,000 hours. And a lot of people do these 3,000 hours like at addiction sites or things like this. And I had no interest in that because I knew I wanted to bring in these other things. So I'm like, I just need to get to private practice so I can kind of like go be really expansive and do what I want. So I'm not going to do my hours anywhere besides private practice. And at this time, that was kind of rare. Like it wasn't really common to get your hours in private practice. And so I was like reaching out to all these therapists who I liked their website and they looked kind of spiritual and nobody wanted an associate. And I did this for a few months. And then I was like, you know what? I guess I just have to do this addiction thing. So I like went to apply, and like 10 to 30 minutes later, this girl that I was in grad school with messages me and was like, hey, like I have someone looking to hire. Are you interested? And they're in Hermosa Beach. And she connected me. I went, he hired me on the spot and like was the world's best mentor. So I was constantly redirected, and I felt like I knew my path and that I was kind of open to which direction it would happen in. And then with Evnia, so like I said, when I was in high school, there was like a lot of chronic headaches and anxiety and things like this. And so I was seeing all of these different practitioners. And I kept feeling like, I wish you guys could all just talk because, like, you're telling me this and you're telling me this and you think it's this and it wasn't opposing things, but I'm like, I just want you all on the same page. And that's in high school, I was like, that would be really cool to have like a wellness studio where you guys all work and kind of collaborate on care because there's so many pieces to the puzzle of wellness, like talk therapy, energy healing, massage, acupuncture. Like it's all really important. And I love having everyone on the same page. So that's when I first kind of had this idea of I would love to have that. Um, Once I first became licensed, I subleased at a wellness studio in El Segundo. And I was like, oh, I can totally do this. Like,
That's cool.
yeah, and it was perfect. It was, like, exactly what I needed at the time, and such a good way for me to kind of learn and feel into what would that feel like, and when I would walk into the space, I'm like, "Well, what if this was my space? How would I walk in if, like, I was the one that created this?" And I love design. I'm, like, such a visual, like, you can tell. Like,
Your place is so cute. It's
I
oh my
love it,
gosh,
and
how
I'm
it's decorated.
so, like, detail oriented, so and I've always loved design. So every time I would be in this wellness studio, I'm like, "Okay, well, this is what I would do to this room, and this is what I would do to this room, and if it was mine, I would change this." So I then wanted to expand my practice and hire associates and things like this, so it was time for me to find my own space. And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna do the whole wellness studio thing
When
now."
did you do this? What age were you?
And this was 3 years ago that I started looking,
Okay.
and I was pretty open. I was like, "Okay, I don't know exactly how big it's gonna be, but I would love for there to be multiple rooms, a waiting room, all of that. If I don't find that and it's just one for me and my associates, that's fine too, but I was really wanting this, but kind of open to the maybe there's a step before that happens." I then was feeling like, "Okay, I want someone to create with." Like, I felt really excited about, but I wanted someone to, like, bounce ideas off with and yeah, co-create this space with. And that's when I connected with Kat and we had, we were associates together, like I mentioned, with my mentor. And so she was in that same office with me. So we reconnected after some time and she's like, yeah, I'm down. I'm super down. So we just started looking at spaces and we looked for probably 6 or 7 months before we found the right space. And I was on a plane coming back from a trip and she's like, Taylor, like, I think I found the space. And she's sending me these videos. And so I'm on the plane. My Wi-Fi is like horrible. They're like glitching, but I'm like, wait, what? Like it was perfect to a T, like what we were looking for compared to like everything else that we had seen. And so I landed, I called our real estate agent. I was like, I have to come see it right now. And I walked and I was like, this is it. Like it looked like it was kind of designed for us, all of the natural light, really tall ceilings, amazing floors. So I just trusted, like, even though it took a few months, it was like, not, I can tell when I walk into a space, I'm like, not it, not it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you
so
get that feeling.
you get that feeling right away. And we had
Yeah.
I had a lot of like, not it. And so I was just trying to trust the timing, even though I was itching to leave and, start this thing. And so with my intuition, I guess that's the biggest thing is trusting my body's reaction to the yeses and to the nos, and then also the visions that I have, like, I'm allowed to make that happen, and it might not be as quick as I want it to happen, but it will.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much, and there's so much juicy things, like the feeling, right? The clairsentience, that deep knowing, like and you were able to trust it no matter what, and I really truly believe this is, like, the missing piece of the people who kind of, like, falter at getting what they really want because they want it, but then there's, like, something blocking, right? Whether it's, like, their self-worth, they're not worthy, or they don't feel good enough, or they, like, doubt that feeling of what they're really getting, but it feels like you really had that knowing, and you were like, "I don't care how long it takes," and I know there might be a couple steps in between
Mhm,
which a
mhm,
lot of people wanna just go quantum leap into that last, achievement, but oftentimes our soul does want this, like, sometimes to explore, or maybe there's something still landing, or the alignment needs to fit in, and maybe it's beyond you or your scope of, work. It's like someone else has to, like, move out of that space, and so
mhm,
there's so many moving pieces, and just really anchoring and leaning into that trust, I feel like is just so powerful and holding that frequency. And a lot of people are like, "Well, I'm gonna stay positive, I'm gonna stay positive," and it's like, I think that's where a lot of the talk therapy, for me at least, didn't
mhm,
land because they would just give me a new perspective, but then the next day I'd be doubting again. And I'm
mhm.
like, until I actually get this affirmation in my body, in my subconscious oh my god, the dog's so cute. if anyone's watching the video. Yeah, that missing piece is just like, how can you hold that in your body, hold the
Mhm.
trust, and it becomes part of you because you just know and you
Mhm.
trust. And I think that's one thing that I also like. I've been psychic my whole life, but I didn't know I had this like deep claircognizance, and it would just be this inner knowing, but also an inner voice. So I guess
Mhm.
clairaudience, and all my life I trained it because I would see the instances where I didn't listen and things would be really uncomfortable and life would kind of just be really hard. And then the moments I listened, even if it was a little scary, think like I would just be like so in awe and joy of the things that were coming towards me. And so I think the trust aspect is just like such a big step of like really getting what you're wanting and what you truly can see for yourself in your mind's eye. And I love that you put kind of all these things together. You're like curating this beautiful space of all these providers that like you've seen and helped you kind of get to where you're at, but also like the vision space. And I was renting from a beautiful chiropractor before, but the space was more, like medical office. And so I
Mhm.
was looking for something that was more vibey and holistic, and someone walks in and they feel like nurtured already. Like
Mhm.
for us, we hold space. We hold space for you to be seen and witnessed. And we know we hold space for compassion and love for the clients to be able to find that for themselves. And so I think that vision you have is like so beautiful to be able to like put that together. And it's such a beautiful space in Redondo Beach.
Yeah, it was really, really fun to create. And it's interesting because, like I said, I have leaned more anxious, but like going through these things, it was more s like, stress because of the time, but there was really never a point that I was like, "Oh, this feels scary." Like, kind of looking back, I'm like, "Oh, shit, I've done a lot." Like, how was I not nervous to kind of take all those leaps and hire employees and sign this really long-term lease and agree to, like, all of this overhead, and it just felt so like, if I build it, they will come. Like, there's kind of no other way for that to happen, which is funny because when I'm so in my mind, that's, like, not how I operate, but with work and business, it's just like, no problem.
That's so interesting. I love that because that's how I feel about love and with this pregnancy too. There's no doubt where my business, my Chiron is in my second house, which is money. So money is my lifelong lesson. And so for me, the doubt and the anxiety comes more for business. But like what you said, there's no doubt it's coming. And so I'm noticing and honestly inspiring myself through this like pregnancy journey of like like, "Oh, wow, this is, like, so easy. I can just, like" and they will come, what you said, like, "When I build it, they will come." Like, undoubtedly, the clients have always come. So, it's just this reprogramming, that's happening, and I wanna share a quick story. I was super anxious my whole life. Now I meditate for an hour a day, and I have this, like, beautiful, spacious, spiritual practice, but in the past, I would literally count the amount of thoughts that were coming in my brain, and it was, like, 3 thoughts a second, and it would, like, loop and then you would get, like, sweaty hands, and then your body gets, like, overwhelmed, dysregulated, and I didn't know any of this. This was even, like, 5 years ago when I first started, getting my first coach, and so it was really interesting, and I went to a somatic healer. So it's kind of like a Reiki, but, they know the aura, and they work with the astral body,
Okay.
and that was the first time, like, at the end of that session, I was like, whoa, I feel very different. And she's like, oh, yeah, the anxiety you had was actually from your mom during the gestation period. And you like took that on through your clairsentience, through whatever that is. Love my mom so much, but like whatever that was, like that was part of my journey. And like, I've never felt the same. I think this is like 2022, 2021. And I
Wow.
don't get anxious anymore. When I do, I know it's, like, outside me, and so I gotta, like, I'll resource, but it was so interesting to not have a baseline of anxiety anymore.
Mhm,
I was
mhm.
like it was so freeing, I can't describe it other than, like, euphoria and peace.
This is why I wanted to have a yoga studio, because there's so many pieces to the puzzle that let's say you had just gone to, like, a normal talk therapist. You guys would have been going at this, like, over and over and over, and, like, you would have had, great tools to manage it, but, like, yes, there's so many pieces where it's intergenerational, it's a past life thing, it's a, like, memory, like, trauma or whatever, it was from the womb, like, there's so many places that it could be coming from that if you're n that therapy doesn't address, and then especially if you're not doing therapy from an intuitive place, you're really missing out on pieces to the puzzle.
I agree, I love it. If anyone's in the Redondo Beach area or South Bay, Taylor is amazing. So I wanna talk to you a little bit about just, like, clearing your vessel
Yeah.
and being a beautiful portal for, your clients, and I know I gave you a Reiki session, you're like, "Oh, yeah, I go to practitioners every week," and I was like, when I first met you, "What? Like, you do that?" And I love that because I feel like I do that. I always go to my therapists and coaches and people to, like, if there's anything, within my field that needs to be transmuted of anything blocking me from that next step, right? That next timeline, I always want to be that clear vessel and never project that onto my clients. So I'm curious, yeah, what your protocol is as an intuitive, but also like someone very rooted in, like the therapy world.
Mhm. So I'm very sensitive. This is why I specialize in treating people that are highly sensitive. Very sensitive. Like if someone next to me has a headache, I could get a headache. And so at first I had no idea that like really a lot of my anxiety just comes from I'm picking up on a lot of stuff and sometimes I don't know how to make sense of it and my nervous system just gets overwhelmed very easily. And so I first started doing healing just for me. I'm like, well, I just want to feel good. And there's a lot going on. And I'm sitting with people all day and their energies. And I feel like I need to do that for me. It helps me stay really clean for my clients, but it also helps me um, through my learning and my healing and my growth. I then take that to my clients. And so I'm learning different modalities and different guided visualizations and different downloads and all of these things that like 9 out of 10 times I'll have a session with I see this woman, Natalie, and she's my favorite person ever, and I see her, like, every 2 to 3 weeks, and she's an energy healer, but she's like my therapist, and something will come through in that session, and within a month, that same download another client needed to hear, and so it's really kind of crazy how, like, those same themes are then shared, so, like, I'm healing me to then help heal other people, and yeah, I just feel like keeping yourself clean is so important, especially when you're like a sponge.
Yeah, I love that so much. That happens to me a lot too, because oftentimes our clients are mirrors of us. And
Mhm.
so, like, when I first started, I was getting so many people who were unworthy, and I was being triggered, by that because I was not even healed. And I do think it's interesting, like, the progression of clients who come now compared to when I was 3 years ago. But I love that the same thing happens to me. A download will come through in a session or even in like a meditation that I'm in, and then all of a sudden that download will come through in a session. And when you hold space in a container that's meant for them, that intuitive drop, that intuitive hit, and it's all about trusting that and then it'll land just as strong. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so
Mhm.
divinely aligned. And that like further evidence that we don't have to do anything alone. We are always so
Yeah.
supported and guided every step of the way. And I wish more people knew this and felt and you're just articulating it so well.
Thank you. Yes. So it's very, very, very important, but it's cool because we kind of see working with people on this level, we see the themes. We can see the connection really clearly. And even in like one day or one week, I'm like, oh, we are all going through this theme right now.
Yes.
And because we're sitting here observing it, we like know. But oftentimes it's really hard unless you have that experience. So I will try to say, like, oh my gosh, you're the fifth person that's come in with this like today. Just to normalize. Like we're not alone and we're all kind of working through the same shit
I
on
love
different
that so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, same with readings. The week will be like the same wounding that we're working on, ancestral or something, and then the next week is something else. Yeah, that's so funny. And I'm curious, like, so what is your vision, I guess, for the next 5 years for your business?
I I don't totally know. I feel like this was my vision for so long and then it's here and I'm like in the family planning phase. So I was going to say we need to trade blueprints on the like no doubt around baby and I'll give you the no doubt around business and
Oh
we'll
my gosh, yes.
so a lot of my 5-year planning is a lot more um geared towards like family life and then how will my business fit into that? I would like to keep it around in some capacity, but like your brain literally changes after pregnancy and I could see myself just wanting to like sit home with baby every second of the day. So, yeah, it's interesting that you're asking that because I don't it's more like how is business gonna fit into my life? What kind of tweaks and boundaries do I need to make around that? Like, I just got a new work phone and I'm, like, putting it away. like Thursday evenings typically and not taking it out until Monday. So I think right now I'm in this phase of really making sure my work is boundaried to focus more on family life.
I love that so much because oftentimes, like, honestly, I went to this new mom group, this circle out here in Redondo, and
Mhm.
I think it's like nationwide and it's wonderful, but they didn't have an energy healer on site. And so they have like all these other therapists and stuff. And so for me, it just wasn't aligned. But all these women are working like these strict 9 to 5s because they work for someone else. And I'm so like grateful to be in this space where I can create my own schedule and I can work as much or as little as I want. And I feel like this was meant for like baby. And I love that you're really prioritizing like family. Like family is what's important. It's not business. It's like, yes, business is your dream and you're helping and you're being of service in such an impactful and purposeful way. But ultimately, like life is about your vessel and your journey of like how you're experiencing life and really prioritizing that family and that soul's expansion.
Mhm, mhm.
And yeah, it's been very interesting to witness just in these beginning stages of other people and then just like reflecting back at myself, like, wow, I listened to my soul baby for the last 3 years and made all the changes in my complete life. And then now I'm like, whoa, now I have the spaciousness and that's kind of wild.
Mhm, mhm. So exciting though. And I love that you're so intentional because a lot of people are not, especially with family planning. It's just like what we do. You like get married and you have babies. And so I love that you've thought and like you went through the period of like, do I even want kids? And trusting that so deeply, the soul came to you and you're like, okay, guess we're having kids. And then you adjusted accordingly. Like, what do I need to change with my health and my diet and for my husband? And yeah, I love how intentional you are and already looking into like doulas and midwives. And I'm very much like on the same page of trying to set myself up for success and like the vision that I have for the next journey.
Yeah, a little bit of what I've been feeling with baby and just like the collective of like the divine, feminine, sacred, fierce, sovereign woman is like we did so much work, right? Shadow work. Like you definitely started before me with like going inward in your 19 or 20s, in college. I didn't do that till my late 20s, but like this sense of like work that we've done to clear it out, like ancestral, past life, karmically, all the things our kids aren't going to have to go through that long of that like transmutation. And so their energy is like maybe going to be more sensitive, but we know how to teach them or we know
Mhm.
how to hold them and very much more balanced, the energy of like the divine Christos of the male who's like the energy of Yeshua. It's like the balance yin and the yang, the one who can hold the depth of emotions and understands that and knows that's powerful. And yeah, so I've been feeling into a lot of the collective soul babies and just the power that they have. And I'm in awe of their journeys. And I've been communicating, yeah, with mine about just like his soul contract and like the things that are gonna work, what we're gonna do collectively for our mission and purpose. Cause I really feel like I kind of I don't want to say like I've completed my purpose in life. Like I feel like like kind of where you're at. You're like I've kind of my goal for so long. I've gotten it. I'm here, and so I was kind of like so I think back in my mind, I was like, what's next? Like, not that I'm bored. I can keep
Mhm.
hanging out at the beach with my husband and like going on walks. Like it's so great. And being of service to my amazing clients, but there was something that was just like, okay, what's next? My soul is like wanting that thing. And so I think this like pregnancy journey has been that evolution of now trusting my body in a deeper way, in a different way. And something that came through this morning, I'll share, which was so wild, is I was in the Akashic Records and all these women came before me in a circle and they were like, we are all past versions of you. And one of them was like crying in the bathroom having like 7 miscarriages and she was all alone. And then another one, her baby died when he was 7 from influenza. And then another one like had a stillbirth. And there were so many who like experienced this like heaviness and this sadness. And they were like, we experienced this so you can experience the life that you're going to have. And I really think like I was born in this incarnation for a different purpose, right? To be part, bring that new earth energy, be a way shower of this new earth energy, which might be really different. I'm questioning the medical system, but just for the
Mhm.
highest good of the collective. And now I'm choosing and opting for a home birth and water. I'm choosing a midwife. I'm doing all the research. I'm just questioning everything, and I will make the informed decision about all the things that need to happen, even ultrasounds, even blood work, like kind of
Mhm.
moving between discernment on yeah, just like what I know, yeah, but also like what's available to me, what's, scientifically available, which is beautiful. And yeah, just like it was so beautiful to witness them. And they were like, I was just honoring them. And I was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they're like, your life is going to be one of joy and abundance. And so
Mhm.
I'm just, so it's like, how can I like be in doubt and fear when like they did all that for me? And it's my
Mhm.
soul, right? It's
Mhm.
me, but just not this current consciousness.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was really amazing this morning that came through.
I love that, and I feel very much on a similar journey of, like, I'm just here to enjoy. I am just here to enjoy, and I think we all could be, but some people, I don't know that their souls, like, really understood that, and I'm like, Show me how easy. Show me how easy, show me how joyful," and, like, that's what I'm signing up for. I had a lot of, like, guilt around that at first, especially because there is so much suffering going on, but I really had to do a lot of, like, unlearning and releasing of, "I already did that." I do think I already did that, kind of like you had all these old, like, past selves come up, like, we did do this, and now you get to have a very different reality and human experience this time around.
Yeah, I love that so much. I feel like so many people need to hear that about just like the inner critic being so judgy and loud. And it doesn't always have to be that way, even if like you grew up and you always struggled, or if it was always hard to make money, or people like my story was like it was easy to find love, but people would always break up with me, or they never would tell me I love you back. And it's like you don't have to keep rewriting those stories. Like if
Mhm.
you can really move into the energy of that joy and acceptance through compassion, like everything is yours. And that's just really what I'm wanting to share in this like podcast of magical embodiment. Oh, you are magical. Like I had my Uncharted Akasha class yesterday, and we're doing aura activations. And how I see it is there's like little soul, your blueprint, there's like key codes within your soul. And obviously every, client that comes to you is so divinely guided. And every client that came into this program was divinely guided in this moment. How I see it is like, so these specific codes are supposed to activate with their soul gifts and, how they're meant to move through the world. And it was just so beautiful that you just existing is magical. And it's like the power of your energy is so much more potent and magical than like you even think. And so if you can just take another step back and just look at your energy and your frequency, and you just existing is magic, is powerful, is impacting this world. You are healing the planet by just stepping outside. You are impacting those around you by your energy in the room that you step into. And so just food for thought.
I love that, especially when it comes to people's self-worth. There's so much, of course, like, our self-worth comes from our job, our business. Does this person love me back? Whatever it is, and it's like, when I'm just sitting in my energy, I'm having the best time. You know what I mean? Like, waking up and just, like, being with yourself or whatever, and it's just like, "Wow, like, this shit's amazing," and, like, we all have that, and if we all just sit with ourselves in a really clear and clean state and, like, connecting with our higher selves when we go out into the world, it would be a very different place.
It would be so different, Taylor. It would be a state of peace and harmony. I think we're going to get there. We're all
Mhm,
going. As one of us evolves, we all come with
mhm.
we're all in it together. And so I have a question for you. What is Evnia mean? Or what does it mean? And how ddid you get brought to that title?
It's a Greek word. Evnia is a Greek word. And we chose Kat and I wanted to come up with a name together. And we're like, okay, what direction do we go? And she's like, she really loves like Greek culture. She's always been really attracted to like goddesses and things like this. And when I was in college, I did a study abroad program in Greece. I always felt very, very called to Greece, like obsessed with it. And then I got there and had like a dark night of the soul and was like my body was really overloaded. I think it's such the like energy there is very intense and all of the historical events that have occurred there are very intense. And I think I was having a lot of like past life stuff come up while I was there. And that's why I was so drawn. But it was a lot for me to understand. But that time in my life was so profound. And we did symposium. And so you would like present a topic. And my topic was holistic health and a wellness studio. And so during this was like, I was in college. I had no idea if I was going to have a wellness studio, but like that's what I did my presentation on. And so I also feel very connected with Greek culture. And so when she said that, I was like, okay, great. Down for that. Let's find like really cool, meaningful Greek words. And so we found Evnia. So Evnia is beautiful thinking and was very fitting as we're both psychotherapists. And then also more of like a mystical side to it too. And just choosing more of a unique word felt important to us. We didn't just want to call it like, I don't know, Joy Wellness Studio.
Love it. It's so unique. And I often think like words are so powerful. Like when I teach people to access the Akashic records, you have to use your name because there's a frequency, there's an energy, a potency there. So I definitely think you were divinely guided to Evnia in such a beautiful way. And so, last question, is there anything that you can offer the collective of maybe you're seeing in your practice right now that a lot of people or the collective is moving through, and anything that maybe can support them, on their journey?
Trying to think of themes because I feel like it changes weekly, but there is a lot of trust coming in. I think we're in such a time of uncertainty of, "Are we going this way or are we going this way?" And it both feel very extreme, but I do think that trusting, which is kind of what we started with, of trusting your intuition, trusting God or the universe's plan, trusting that you're capable. I think, especially stepping in this time, it feels like the energy is moving very quickly. Like kind of feels like we're all in a washing machine right now, and like trusting that we have the tools, trusting that things will shift. Trust.
Yeah, trust is such a big one. Thank you so much, Taylor. So, where can everyone find you?
Thank you. You can find me on my Instagram, you can tag my Instagram, which is Taylor Elise Therapy. And then my website is the best way to contact me, which is taylorelisetherapy.com. And then Evnia Wellness Studio also has evniawellnessstudio.com.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's an
Oh,
honor to have you here in this beautiful space. I'm so lucky we connected through that Facebook group, South Bay Babes.
I know. I love it.
Well, thank you so much. I'll link everything in the bio, and until next time.
Thank you, Danny.